I think it literally saved my life.
Yeah.
It saved my family's life.
Welcome to the Alfi Podcast, episode 23, Michael Jordan number. Two very special guests here. You guys are going to love this episode. If you're interested at all about Airway, jaw health, biohacking, parenting, what to do for your children, you don't want to miss this episode because we have Jose, and his son Josh. Jolly was a patient of mine. 2.5 years ago, we did double jaw surgery, and we're going to get into that and the journey you went through and what symptoms you've had since you can remember, and what the Airway journey looked like for you here with the Houston team, the A team. And then we talk a lot about things that you can do for your children to prevent the problems of airway deprivation, sleep deprivation, and maybe even avoiding the need for jaw surgery in the future. And looks like Josh is well on his way to see the benefits of what his parents learned and did for him. So we're going to talk about all that. We're going to talk about MARPE, double jaw surgery, Airway, and we're going to get deep into the real symptoms, signs, and recovery. So welcome to the studio.
Thanks, Dr.
Jolly.
Alfi.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
All right. So Jolly, I want to start with you.
Sure.
Start with the background. When did you first, feel symptoms live and retrospectively?
Yeah.
And then how did we even get to meet?
Well, I think genetically, everybody on my mom's side of the family have always had small mouths, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're South Indian, so in India, when your mouth just doesn't work properly, they just pull all your teeth, right? So my grandfather had no teeth; he had dentures. So did my mom, right? So their mouths, you could just see that their mouths are really small. Temperament-wise, my grandfather was a very angry man, right? And as my mom got older, she was always very reserved, and she was a little more reserved because she was a woman in Indian society, right? Like, It's just, you don't really show your temperament, right? She was really reserved, and as she got older, she got a little bit more cranky, and she ultimately got sick and died from cancer, right? And today I kind of look back on a lot of that. I think has a lot to do with their mouth physiology, right?
Jaw health.
Yeah. So then I was heading down that same path, right? So when I was younger, I had, really crooked teeth, right? And I ended up getting braces in high school and had really crooked teeth. So what was the easy way to do it? You pull teeth and then you straighten, right? And even 6th through 8th grade, right? I always used to remember, like, I always had this heaviness, right? But at that age, you didn't even know what that was.
You don't know what you don't know.
Right?
Yeah.
And then in high school, when I'm like, all right, Mom, Dad, my teeth look horrible. You guys need to do something, right? You need to finance these braces, right? So they did. So they pulled the teeth. They got the braces. Mouth looked great. Teeth were straight. But then a year or two afterwards, I could just feel like, all right, my mood just shifted, right?
Yeah. Which teeth did you have removed?
It was the bicuspids, I think.
Yeah, some premolars.
Right. On the top, and there were 2 on the bottom as well, right?
Yeah.
So premolars, and, it looked great on paper, but 2 or 3 years afterwards, I could just feel like, this heaviness that I used to have just got exacerbated, right? But I never really knew what that was. Mm-hmm. And I was always really good
The last thing you're going to attribute is
right.
your jaws, right?
But I mean, we're performers, right? So we kind of fight through it and just say, hey, look, this is just part of the burden, right?
Yeah.
Then as you get older, right? Like when you're young, your body can recover from a lot, right? But as you get older, right, it's like things get a little heavier. Things get more crankier, right? So you go to school, you graduate, you get a good job, you do all these things, you work your tail off, and then the heaviness continues and continues and continues to the point where, I met my wife, we got married, things were pushing forward, but like looking back, my wife was like, man, you were just a hard person to be with, right? Because I'm very opinionated. Nobody's going to ever tell that I have this heaviness, right? Because I'm always going to rise to the occasion, right? So I used to go to doctors and just tell them like, look, I just don't feel right. You know, I just feel heaviness about myself. They're like, oh yeah, you're fine. And I think that nobody ever really believed me just because I articulated things well, right? So they're like, yeah, you can try an SSRI, a Zoloft or something like that, right? And I tried these things and, you know, some of them worked, some of them didn't, right? And back then, I didn't realize like the weight gain was attributed to these SSRIs, right? So like...
Which makes things worse for your
Yeah,
airway.
right. But sometimes you need that crutch just because things are so bad, right?
Of course.
But it's a short-term solution. You get older, you have kids, life gets a little bit more difficult, right? Managing work, you know, the household, and the temperament just gets worse and worse and worse, right? And it got so worse, so bad that my wife was like, all right, we need to do something. Something's off, right? So she had heard about Dr. Amon's clinic in Dallas, right? There's a clinic where they do like scan of your brains. So I'm like, all right, let's try this thing, right?
How many years are you married at this point?
Probably about 12.
Okay.
And I didn't really know, but if you talk to my wife, right, and the cross that she had to bear, right, being with somebody that's as impetuous and impulsive. I mean, the thing is, when you've got like this many years of dysfunction, you don't realize what you don't realize, right?
Yeah.
Sleep apnea tests. I mean, every single doctor I went to were like, oh, the sleep apnea tests are fine. I'm like, all right, something is off, right? So she found out about Dr. Amon. So I went to Dallas and did a brain scan, right? So like, so were you a football player? I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like, yeah, your brain looks like
it's that trauma.
Who's been concussed time and time again, right? And I'm like, no, I've never played any contact sport like that, right? So they basically pretty much show you the scans and say, now it's your responsibility to go figure it out. So it's like, hey, we have some doctors in Houston, functional medicine doctors, Dr. Ruan being one of them. So I went to Dr. Ruan, right? And I'm like, listen, man, I feel like crap all the time, right? It's like, yeah, I would never guess that by your disposition, right? It's like, look, I'm a good actor. Everybody's wearing masks, right? So he's like, all right, stand up. It's like, yeah, man. It's like your disposition is just out, right? Everything is just condensed on your body, right? So open your mouth. It's like, you have a really bad tongue tie. I'm like, what are you talking about? What do you mean tongue tie? Right? It's like, look, there's this airway health thing that people don't really know about, but I want you to go see this ENT, Christopher Tran, right? I'm like, all right, I've tried everything else at this point. I'm going to go ahead and try that, right? So I went to Dr. Tran. Dr. Tran's like, yeah, you're pretty tight. And we started out with the tongue tie. It's like, but before I do this tongue tie release, I need you to go see an airway specialist, an orthodontist, right? So after that appointment with Tran, he gave me Susie's number, Susie Q, right? The myofunctional therapist, right? So as soon as I left his office, I went to the car and I just happened to call her and she answered the phone. And we talked for an hour and she told her about, you know, the same situation she had, you know, with her kids, right? And like this whole concept of airway. And I was like, all right, these people
sounds crazy to you, right?
Freaks, right? But then the fact that she was so sincere with me, I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna go talk to Karakin. He's 5 minutes from the house. So I went to him, he's like, yeah, man, you've got a really small mouth. It's like, so what the hell does a small mouth have to do with me feeling like crap? Right? Is what I asked him, right?
Yeah.
Right. I was at the point where I'm like,
right. Yeah.
It's like, look.
Why are we talking about my mouth right now?
Right. So it's like, all right, there's this thing called a MARPE, right? Where they affix it to the top of your mouth and we crank it open and hopefully it splits. And I was telling him, it's like, look, man, I've been like this for 45 years. This thing is not going to do anything, but you know what? You're the smart one. I'll do it. I'll do it, right? So we got the MARPE. Shire installed it, right? And I had it for about 2 weeks and this thing bent in half, right? Just because my skull was too fused, right?
So this was 2 weeks.
2 weeks, right? And I went back to Shire. Shire was like, yeah, man, this doesn't look like it's working, right?
Yeah.
And the irony is, before I got it fixed by Shire, I was like, so Dr. Shire, if this thing doesn't work, what do I do? It's like, you go see Dr. Alfi. It's like, who the heck is Dr. Alfi, right? And then I'd taken my medication right before the actual procedure and I looked you up. It's like, oh, this is the guy, right? In case this doesn't work, right? and you were still in your Methodist uniform, right?
Right.
So I think I manifested it on that day that the MARPE,
Yeah.
even with just the MARPE, like it wouldn't have given me enough expansion, right?
Right. Yeah. Like it was meant.
So
You were meant to have jaw surgery.
I mean, I went back to Shire, and he was like, "Look, man, you need to go see Karakin." As soon as I went to Karakin, we were disappointed, didn't work. And the next day, I got a call from this office,
Yeah.
and then I came and saw you. I think the day afterwards. I mean, it's just.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think when we first saw each other, you were just gonna do the dome.
Sarpy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just the top, right? We were just
Right.
gonna, and then for whatever reason, I think I was talking to Susie, and Susie's like, I talked to Dr. Alfi, and I said, just take another look at his case.
Mm-hmm.
And then you did, and you're like, oh my gosh, this guy's perfect candidate for the MMA.
Right.
And I think I met with, it was Dr. Farahi,
Mm-hmm.
and he's the one who
Our
actually
fellow at the time.
He told me like, yeah, man, you're the perfect candidate for a comprehensive expansion through this MMA. And I was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And that journey started, and I got the surgery.
Yeah.
And-
This is 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, it's been life-changing.
Yeah, that's what I'm
life-changing.
really interested in hearing.
Yeah.
Before we do that, when you saw Dr. Ron, he was doing brain scans
Yeah,
also, right?
yeah,
And you've done brain scans
Yep.
before and after.
yeah. I haven't gone to the one after,
Okay.
but I did one with him, right? Because he thought I was over-exaggerating too.
Yeah.
And after he did my initial brain scan, and we had a Zoom call, because I think it was right on the tail end of COVID, he was like, man, I had no idea that a brain could look this bad.
Mm.
And you don't have any other issues.
Right.
It's like, so you, like making the association of your mouth and how small it is, and literally
Yeah.
you're choking yourself to death.
Right.
Death, right?
Yeah.
Because I told you, I went to 4
Mm-hmm.
sleep apnea tests, right? But I think the sleep apnea tests only test if you stop breathing.
Yeah.
But what happens if you're breathing through a coffee stir?
Yeah. And the truth is that there's so much variability in sleep studies, because I think that, meaning that a lot of home sleep studies
Yeah.
have false negatives. And a lot of even big institution sleep studies are going to have false negatives because the parameters that they're testing things they're not all standardized, or the standards are not to clinical excellence. So I think when I saw you, we had recommended a sleep study with CSMA,
Yeah.
and then that one wasn't negative.
Yeah. Now you said you'd bet your house that I've got sleep
Did I say
apnea.
that? I bet I say things like that.
Yeah,
I'll bet my house you have sleep apnea,
Yeah.
and I was right, wasn't I?
Yeah. You were right. But I mean, 4 tests,
Yeah.
I'm literally begging my doctors, like, give me sleep apnea. I need something, right?
Right.
I'll wear something, right? Like,
Right.
I'm not going to give you anything because the test, I'm taking the in-hospital test,
Mm-hmm.
the home test, right? 2 in-hospital tests, 2 home tests. And I'm just like, but just the way that I even came here, right? It's just,
Yeah.
you go to this doctor, and you go to this doctor,
Right.
right? And you go to this doctor, right? And then
Yeah,
putting
and it all
together.
sounds very alternative. Especially this is 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
For a functional medicine doctor, he's a pioneer. It's not a lot of functional medicine doctors out
Right.
there that understand that airway health
Right.
connectivity. Now I think there's a lot more because of the outcomes that we've been showing, and the word is getting out there. But put in perspective, 2.5 years ago is a long time in this space.
Right. Right.
So, great for him to make that referral, and a big leap of faith for you to follow that path.
Yeah. Because I knew something was wrong, right? And it's like, we're very intuitive people. And I'm like, something is wrong with my
Yeah.
body.
Yeah, you're a very aware person.
Yeah. Very self-aware. My wife, we're very like, we're very into eating healthy. It's like, and doing all these,
You're trying everything.
yeah, trying everything, right? But I was at a point, it's like, what is the disconnect between my lifestyle habits and the way I feel,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, and
What were the biggest symptoms? Like, we're talking about irritability, anxiety, headaches, jaw pain, neck pain.
I didn't have any of the pain.
No
I had
pain.
none of the pain. None of the pain. And the thing is, I had no problem sleeping. The thing is, I never felt rested, right?
Yeah. Brain
You
fog.
wake up and you're like, I told my wife, it's like, so when you wake up, you're actually ready to get up? It's like, yeah, I'm ready to start the day. I'm like, what are you talking about? I thought this is normal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that was my norm. Irritability, right? Depression, anxiety, right?
Yeah.
I mean, every SSRI, every SNRI, every medication there was, right?
Yeah.
I knew about, right? I knew the side effects.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, all right, we'll just take fish oil for the rest of your life, right? Because you don't like the side effects from the antidepressant medication, right?
Yeah.
But because I was high energy, it's like, all right, who do we have to see today? All right, let's put on the mask.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody ever really believed, even the doctors never
You're always
believed it.
working.
Yeah. Right? Because I'm always going to push through,
Right.
right? Regardless, right? It's mind over matter, right?
Yeah.
But the amount of bandwidth that it takes to push through.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, I look at my mom, right? And she suffered a really, really bad death, right? So she got cancer at 60,
Young.
right? And literally, I look back and it's like, if I hadn't had this path in my life,
Yeah. Who
that's the
knows?
direction that I'd be heading in, right?
Yeah.
Because as you get older,
It
your
gets
body
worse.
becomes less resilient, right?
Absolutely.
It's like, look, man, I'm doing the best that I can.
Yeah.
But if you're not giving your body the basic essence of life,
Mm-hmm.
there's only so much it can do.
Yeah.
And time is your enemy at that point.
Yeah, definitely. That's the thing. The message that I try to put out there with this podcast is how important breathing and sleep are.
Yeah.
I mean, breathing and sleep are so fundamental. I think more important than anything. Breathing is more important than anything. It's more important than eating,
Yeah.
right? It's the number one biggest priority
Yeah.
for health. And sleep is right up there.
Absolutely.
You can't go a week with zero sleep.
Absolutely.
Nobody can. And a day with bad sleep is going to wreck somebody.
Yeah.
Right? How many side effects come from that? It's tremendous.
Right.
But we take it for granted. And I think, here in the U.S., just the culture is so anti-sleep.
Right.
We're up
It is.
late. There's all this screens to look at.
Right.
Got to wake up. What time you got to wake up for school?
6:15.
6:15. It's not enough time. Right? It's too early to wake you up. You're not ready.
I'm always
You're not ready to get up at 6:15.
Right.
What time you fall asleep?
like 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, right? It's not enough. That's just the way that society is built now.
Yeah.
You got to get home from, do you play sports?
I do.
What do you
No,
play?
right now. I play soccer.
Soccer. So after school, you play soccer. You're done with practice at 7. You got to come home, do some homework, eat dinner. You can't even be in bed by 10 if you tried,
I can't.
right? So society's built that way. And then you got to get up at 6:15. And then on top of that, you put jaw structures that are not optimal. Everybody's set up for failure.
Yeah.
Everybody's set up to take pills.
Right. Right.
Right. And that's why the medical business is the biggest business
Right.
in this country,
Right.
because everybody's set up
Right.
to take pills.
Right.
And it's just so normalized that we don't even know what questions to ask. Very fortunate for us to be in Houston and have these teams with the experts that are doing these things. But, you think about it, everyone else in the world, where are they getting this information from? Or their doctors have nowhere to send them, or even that idea
Yeah.
to do it.
I mean, even psychiatry, right? It's medication management.
Right.
It's like, hey, you're going to couple
Totally.
your Cymbalta with Zoloft and then add benzodiazepine.
Yeah,
in the
that's
middle
all
of the
it's-
day. I mean,
correct.
it's just like, but in terms of wellness, it is not in the DNA.
Right.
It's not in the DNA, right?
That's a great point. And any psychiatrists that are out there don't have sleep on their radar. You hit a great point. It's like the go-to, I went to medical school. I did psychiatry rotations. The go-to was, let's learn pharmacology, right? There's some behavioral stuff, but a lot of it leaned on pharmacology. So much of psych, anxiety, depression, and then as things get worse down the line with neurological issues from sleep, completely tied into sleep.
Right.
Irritability, anxiety, depression is anyone can know that after one bad night of sleep.
Right.
Right. And then imagine chronically,
Yeah.
you can't breathe, you can't sleep. Of course you're gonna have anxiety, be irritable, be depressed. And the answer is not just the pills, or not the pills at all, really. That is just a symptom management. So I think that all psychiatrists really, that we need to reform in these, that let's look at Airway as a line of exclusion, right? Like, do we have an airway issue? Do we have sleep issues? But that was nowhere when I was in school.
But Doc, it's also hard. What you do is hard. Or
Yeah.
everything, there's no case that's not nuanced,
Yeah.
right? When you live in a world where it's like you want to achieve balance, 8 to 5, how in the heck are you supposed to achieve 8 to 5 when every single patient that comes your way has a different story
Yeah.
that needs to be multidisciplinary? I need to get in contact with this doctor,
Yeah.
this doctor, and this doctor.
The task is tall.
Right. You end up being in your office till 8 o'clock.
Yeah. Here we are.
Right,
We'll
right.
be here till 8 today.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's hard,
It's true. The task is tall.
right? So, I mean, the hard thing is you've got to be an advocate for yourself, right? You have
Yeah.
agency over what you do and your decisions.
Absolutely.
Right? So,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's huge. And
we
you
live in
had
the
that.
mecca of medicine.
Yep.
We've got the best and the brightest, right? Thing is, I mean, let me go back to one other thing. So, when Dr. Ruan told me that I had a tongue tie, and that was corroborated by Dr. Tran, I went and got a second opinion, right? 'Cause I thought he was a freak initially, right? I mean, and this doctor that I went to, very high sought after ENT, is like, yeah, you're fine. It's like, look, these guys are all trying to make money, right? So then I put it to bed. I put it to bed for about 6-7 months, right? Simultaneously, while symptoms got worse and worse and
Yeah.
worse, right? So went back out of just, you know what, this is last ditch effort. Otherwise, my predestiny is in front of me, right?
Yeah.
So there's so many doctors out there, highly sought after, medical gods, that still don't buy into this.
Definitely.
And they're telling patients
Definitely.
that you want to do what? They want to charge you how much?
Yeah.
You do the math. You're a smart guy. You're a
Yeah.
numbers guy, right?
I know a lot of people in my specialty
Right.
that do jaw surgery that really deny the airway issue. Yeah. So and that's in our field.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
what we do.
Yeah.
So for sure, and all the medicine, it's not there. It's not even close.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the goal. So let's take it to surgery. Somehow we get you
Yeah.
in the operating room for surgery after that journey. You know,
Christmas.
kudos to you. And
Day after what, Christmas, I think, right?
yeah.
Yeah. It's a week after.
Yeah, it was.
Everybody
December.
else is off, and you said, oh, this is my busy time. It's like,
Yeah,
okay.
busiest time of the year. Everybody wants surgery.
Yeah. Yeah.
Insurance deductibles are going to be ending.
Yes.
Patients are out of their max, and people are out of school.
Yeah.
So a lot of reasons December is very busy. If you're out there and you want jaw surgery, try to do it before December.
Exactly.
We get a lot of patients that come, November 30th, and
Yeah.
they're like, I need it December.
Yeah.
And it's like, we've been booked
Yeah.
for 4 months now. So if you want December, book it in June.
Yeah. Seriously.
But we go to surgery, and what was that like? What was the recovery like?
I think your brother had said it best, right? I think it's very personal to everybody, right? Like the whole concept of pain, right? It wasn't even, the pain is not an issue, right? And everybody's body reacts differently, right? I didn't really have any physical issues, right? But I think the biggest thing for me was my body had neurologically reset. I think my wife had called you like at the 3-month mark, and she's like, you know what? He's not really feeling too well, right? And your body's learning how to rewire itself, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing about the surgery, right?
It's a lot of rewiring,
Yeah.
especially the older you are
Right.
when you do this.
I mean, you talk about your brain, man, and the neurons firing, the synapses connecting, right? For 45 years, it's been doing this number,
Yep.
right? And you're trying to get it to like synchronize. If it's been behaving and suffocating for 45, 46 years, do you think that 5 minutes after this MMA that it's going to magically
Right.
just reset? No, I mean, it takes time, right?
Yeah, it takes time.
The thing is, we don't live in a country, in a world where people are patient for anything.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true. And we want it immediately.
Right. So you're like, look, you just have to go through it, right? So now it just gets incrementally better,
Yeah.
right? The 3-month mark was like, man, all right, my body's really going through this metamorphosis, right? The 6-month mark, it's like, all right, man, I'm starting to see this chiseled jawline. I mean, I love the jawline, right?
Yeah.
But go ahead.
GG, let's put the before and after on this so people can admire Jolly's
I mean, I remember
amazing jawline.
the 1 week afterwards, you're like, yeah, just wait till that jawline
Yeah.
just chisels.
I knew it
remember
was
you
going to
talking about
happen.
Yeah.
What was that?
You're talking about how wait for the jawline.
Wait for it. It's
It's gonna
coming.
come.
And I was like, it literally manifested into that statement, right? I mean, I love the way my face looks. I mean, I love it, right?
Yeah.
But I wish I could really get a picture people a picture of what's going on inside,
Yeah.
right? Just really being able to relish in the joys in life, right? And being able to handle the valleys.
Yeah.
Before it's like everything was a disaster, right? Like, oh, they didn't apply my principal payment right. What the conniption after conniption after conniption, right?
Just no patience for anything.
Right. I mean, look, I'm still the essence of who I am today, right?
I could tell you your anxiety, like the energy of anxiety is night and day better
Yeah.
than when I first saw you. And I just remember, I think the last time I saw you reminds me, I got to check on your wounds.
Yeah. Oh, man. That's a game changer too, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. The tension in your mouth
from
man.
buckle ties that we released.
Yeah.
But I remember for that I had you wait a little bit because I was behind.
Yeah.
And I remember looking in the room and you were chilling there.
Yeah, chilling.
Like you were at the beach.
Yeah.
And I said, that's not the same Jolly that I remember.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just hard to articulate, Doc. I mean, you know, it's just the mental health side of this stuff, right? Like I think that you do a great job of conveying a lot of things, right? But the one thing that people are very, very, very leery about saying is talking about vulnerabilities, right?
Yeah.
About how crippled people are in terms of their lives, right? Because
People
of
really
mental
struggle.
anguish,
Yeah.
right? It's like, all right, nature versus nurture, right? Like I had posed a question to you, right? You guys make great content about anti-inflammatory foods, right? Like you guys aren't going to get surgery. Do these things, right? These are the things we do to work 15 hours a day
Yeah.
and still not lose it, right?
Yeah.
With all that, if you're physiologically broken, can you live a happy, normal life?
Right.
I think the answer is a categorical no.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. I mean, definitely you can do everything right.
Yeah.
And I see this all the time. Especially because I talk a lot about biohacking.
Yeah.
And jaw surgery being the ultimate biohacking tool.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad I do because a lot of my patients are biohackers.
Right.
You know, they resonate with it. So they're coming in and these guys they're doing everything. They're grounding, they're eating clean.
Everything.
They're exercising, they're getting sunlight, they're meditating,
Everything.
they're getting red light, they're taking supplements.
Yeah.
And their jaws don't have room for their tongue and parapharyngeal anatomy, and they can't breathe and they can't sleep well.
Right.
And they're struggling exactly like you're saying, but they're doing everything right. But I think it's true. I think if you can't breathe, you can't sleep, you're not going to feel great.
Right. Right.
You're not going to feel great. So now going back to that, when did you start to get that hope after surgery? Because I remember after 3 months, it was like, okay, did I?
Yeah. Right.
Sure, I look better, but you know, is this really changing? And I said, yeah, you know, it takes time.
Yeah.
When did you think, okay, you know, is Dr. A full of it, or
No. Right.
when did you have the hope that things are changing?
I would say about the 5th, 6th month mark, man, is when, you know, I started. It's an insidious shift, right? It's not like, oh, but waking up wasn't just an absolute albatross, right? And it's like getting up and just saying, oh my God, I got to tolerate this day versus like, all right, let's do this, right? And these slow little shifts, right? And you have to talk to my wife, right? Because she's the one that really feels that wrath, right? Of how I could be, right? Just short, no pun intended, right?
Yeah.
But impatient, right? I mean, with these kids, I mean, you told me like I'd fly off the handle, right? Just for the simplest things, right? And then having a tempered response to things that historically I would just fly off the handle, right? It's just slow and insidious, man. And every day just got better and better and better, right? Not to say that, look, life still happens, right?
Of course.
Stress still happens, right?
Right.
But
yeah, we're not going to solve everything.
Right. But I'm at a point now where it's like, whatever life throws at me, I have the wherewithal and the resilience to be able to handle it.
Yeah.
Where pre-surgery, I remember even before surgery, I was like, Doc, we got to do this thing, right? It's like, you know, you're like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. You know, if we can get in, we're getting in. Like Crockett, hey, listen, man, I need to get in before December. So we were trying to like put the full court press on.
I remember that. We got you in.
And it's just like literally 1 second on the shot clock, right? And it's like, it happened. And I mean, what, 2.5 years afterwards, man, it's just, I think it literally saved my life.
Yeah.
It saved my family's life, right?
Yeah. I love that.
I mean, it's just like wow, I mean, I got a great family, right? But dealing with somebody like this,
Yeah.
right? And just being very intentional about looking back and like, wow, man, like the temperaments, right? Right? Just the volatility.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's because you're physiologically broken,
For sure.
right? Like
Yeah.
getting that reality check from my wife that, yeah, I'll wake up 15 minutes before I'm supposed to because I'm excited to start the day
That's amazing.
and start my meditation, right? And her mindset, I mean, her mindset is so like,
Yeah.
she's just a positive thinker.
She
right?
is. I know.
And,
Yeah.
but life
Shout out
comes
to her
very
for sure.
easily for her. Like
Yeah.
the way she does things, it just comes easy because that's how she functions, right? And the irony is she's initially married to somebody who's the complete antithesis, right? But then now we're at a point where because I found the path to be able to correct the physiology, we're starting to synchronize together. Right?
That's awesome.
I mean, that's the reality, though.
Yeah. And she giving you that feedback that you're different.
Oh, absolutely.
Different husband.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's life-changing stuff, man.
That's awesome.
And I was like, why don't you divorce me? Right? I mean, because this is hard.
Testament to her.
Yeah.
Very supportive.
Seriously. I mean, even with the kids, right? Like, man, you know, they faced a lot
Yeah.
because of the brokenness, right? Literally, I was turning into my grandfather, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like, hey, you want to go here? It's like, why in the heck am I going to want to go there, right?
Right.
People are just like, yeah, it's just his nature. But you look at his mouth, right? In India, it's like, airway, what airway, right?
Right.
They pull all
Yeah.
the teeth, right?
Right.
So you
Yeah.
take a small airway and you make it smaller. And then you take the coffee stir and then you shrink it even
Yeah.
further.
And you wonder how many, conflicts in relationships and families that happen because of Airway.
Yeah.
Josh, tell me, what do you notice now compared to pre-surgery?
Well, yeah,
Dad.
he's a lot more patient. If I would do something wrong or knock something over, he used to be like, "Why would you do this? Why is this happening?" Get mad at me, but now, if I do something wrong, he's a lot more patient.
That's awesome. Have you guys gotten closer?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, because my wife had that vision to tell this very highly sought after doctor that, no, that doesn't sound right.
Right.
Because when we took him to this very highly sought after doctor, it's like, oh yeah, we're just going to pull the teeth and we're going to straighten it out and you're going to be on this wall looking great, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, that doesn't sound right. But I'm like, yeah, that's what they did to me. That was before this whole journey, right?
Right.
And if we had acquiesced, like he would have literally,
Turned into the
Yeah.
same situation.
right?
So did his Airway journey start the same time as yours, or what?
It kind of did.
What clicked together?
It did.
for
So I
that?
went to Kraken. So my MARPE bent and
Yeah.
broke in half. And I'm like, this is me. If you look at his pictures, it's
Yeah.
my pictures as a kid.
Yeah.
It is.
And if you
We're
look
gonna,
at
we're gonna put those pictures up
yeah,
for
if
people
you look
to
at
see.
him pre MARPE, he was a reserved kid, right? But he'd have this little corner on our sectional, right? And you'd have a Kleenex box
Yeah.
just with Kleenex all over, right?
I was-
It's really reserved, and we're just like, all right, his temperament's just a little bit more reserved, kind of quiet. But now it's like his brain wasn't developing properly,
Yeah.
and literally, like it wasn't. He got the MARPE, and 5 minutes after the MARPE. That's why I say, at this age,
Oh yeah.
it's
Things
like
move fast.
I mean,
the rewiring is much faster
right.
It is.
at this age.
And you and the doctor had said, look, you'd like to put yourself out of business, right?
Right.
If you could
Help the kids.
help these kids
now.
because Heaven's
Yeah.
Gate opens when you do it at this age.
Absolutely.
So 5 minutes after the MARPE, he has a 7-inch growth spurt. His
Crazy.
cognition just
It was.
opens up, his articulation, his comprehension, right?
Yeah.
And he's starting to develop my ethos. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like it. I know. You walked in today, first time we met, I see a big, amazing smile.
Yeah.
Confident smile.
Yeah. I mean, the aesthetics is great too, right?
It's great.
Don't get me wrong, but
yeah. How's the confidence?
Oh yeah, it's a lot better. I used to be more reserved before, and I wouldn't talk a lot. But now I'm a lot more open. I'm like talking louder.
I love it. You
Happier.
didn't hesitate to get into the studio, get in front of the mic. Says a lot.
I was excited.
You're 14 years old. Good for you.
yeah, Doc. I mean, literally what I'm trying to tell you is like days like this, right? When even you, right? You're
Yeah.
tired, man.
I feel good right
You're
now.
tired, right? But you're saving people's lives, man.
I
And
appreciate that.
it's moments like this where you're keeping people from being buried sooner than they should be.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reality of all of this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, with the Kobe mural and all the aesthetics, you are saving people's lives,
Yeah,
right? The work that all of you guys are doing, the effort, the Karakans, the Shires, the Ruans, the trans, right?
Yeah.
Or it's like after hours, it's 9 o'clock. Like, hey, what about this case, right? And you're like,
Right.
oh my God, we're supposed to be going out of town tomorrow. It's like, hold on.
Yeah.
I mean, you're saving people's lives, right?
Yeah.
So living in y'all's purpose, please continue to do it.
Thank you very
That's
much.
all I'm telling you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for appreciating that.
No, for sure.
That this is the most rewarding thing for me, to see patients improve and see their transformations. And, thankfully I do so many cases.
Yeah.
And every day I get to follow up on patients and see success stories like this.
Yeah.
And it's infectious.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
You want to continue to learn and grow and do things better. It's all about the Mamba mentality and be the best version of ourselves every day.
It is, right?
My
My question to you is like, how do you maintain that balance, right? To where you take these phenoms, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doctors, human ingenuity at its best, right? But how do you get to a point where you maintain balance and you can continue to do what you do at a flawless level?
Yeah. I think that work-life balance is not a thing. I think that you got to find a job. This is my advice to you, Josh, where it's not a job. Like for me, this is just an extension of life. Life's a playground.
Yeah.
Right. And this is a passion for me. All this is fun. We set up this studio, did the podcast. Yeah. It's work. I'm here at 8 o'clock, but it's fun. I enjoy talking about this, sharing the message.
Yeah.
I enjoy seeing new patients and hearing what they're going through, kind of problem solve.
Yeah.
And everybody's unique, and try to figure out what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And then when I'm doing surgeries, try to think about what can I do better. I do this every case. What can we do differently? What can we do better? What can I learn? Who can I learn from? And it's fun. So I don't think there's balance. I think that there's no need for balance if you find your calling and you're doing something you want to do. And I think coming from cultures we did, a lot of parents say go be an engineer, go be a doctor, go be a lawyer, and most. Where are you guys from?
India.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Most Indians, most Persians, they become doctors, engineers, and lawyers,
It's
right?
The same thing.
Yeah.
The percentage is high to get there.
Yes.
But they're not all happy, right? And they're not all they're clocking in and clocking out,
right?
Because they were kind of forced to get there. I'm lucky I never had that push to go anywhere. I kind of came here from
follow the group think, right?
Following my dreams and my interests. But there's so many things that young kids like you can do for careers, and it's got to be your hobby.
It really does, man.
It's got to be your hobby. So if your dad's telling you to be a doctor and you don't want to be a doctor, it's okay.
No, I was talking about this with my wife and even him. I was like, so what is it about Dr. Alfi? How come he doesn't get tired, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's lifting weights at 9 o'clock at night, right? Wearing extra small shirts, man, trying to show off his guns, right? Like, what is it? It's like he's living out his purpose.
Yeah.
Right? But, I mean, look, I'm a capitalist, right? I'm a big boy. I know how people think, right? It's like living out his purpose. Like, it's like when you're truly living out your purpose, it's not a job, right?
Correct.
And it's like he not only tore down one office, he tore down 3 offices in the Mecca of medicine, right?
Right.
I mean, that's a huge obligation, but you're like, I need this space to continue to do what I do, right?
Yep.
Because this is truly my passion.
Yeah. I like that analogy. We're going to keep tearing down walls.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, right? So.
Yeah, real important point that we were talking about, the 3-month mark, still don't feel the benefits yet. What do you tell patients that have gone recently through what you've gone through or are going to go through it about timing and staying patient? Because you're not unique to this. I mean, we see this all the time.
Everybody, right?
And I see patients 6 weeks after surgery, very just losing hope and frustrated.
Yes.
And I know that things will get better, and I try to tell them that. But a lot of times they'll look at me like, oh, he's just pushing me off.
Right. Look, a lot of this stuff is like your mind does control your body, right? and historically, I've never been like this, right?
Right.
We're not wired this way. Indians are not wired this way. It's
Yeah.
like everything is like, really?
Yep.
But my wife is the opposite, right? Where life is easy for her and she does everything, executes it flawlessly because she manifests it right here, right?
Yeah.
It's like if in your mind you continue to tell yourself that this is a failure, it will play out like
Yeah.
that, right?
I'm a big believer of that.
And-
Manifestation is real.
Right. But I'm somebody that can be very pessimistic at times, right? But the bottom line is this, right? If you're giving your body breath, it is going to heal itself.
Yeah.
You just have to give it a smidgen of the time that it took to cripple yourself.
Yeah. Right.
That's the reality of this whole
Yeah.
thing.
There's
right?
a lot of wiring.
There's a lot of wiring. And you're talking about the brain. Nobody knows anything about the brain
Yeah.
or the inner workings of it, right?
Right.
But the bottom line is this: if you're not giving your cells the air and the energy that it needs to rejuvenate, to get into autophagy, to do all these things, how do you think that it's going to affect this?
Yeah.
It takes time, right? And you have to constantly keep telling yourself, continue to do the biohacking stuff, right? But you have to be patient with it, because if you expect this thing to be fixed in 5 minutes after years and years of dysfunction,
Yeah,
you're
it's
just
not
going to be sorely
realistic.
disappointed, right?
Right.
But it will get better, right? I mean, look, I'm a walking manifestation of it.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I have days where it's like I'm still
course,
low.
you-
I just don't
you're
stay
human.
there, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh God, here we go.
Right.
I'm starting to ruminate, right? But then the thing is, you catch yourself, right? So you become more psychologically strong because your cells are starting to get healthier, right? And give you the resilience for your brain to function properly,
Yeah.
right? It just takes time, and that time is so relative to everybody.
Yeah.
But the negative thinking, and that's what everyone does, right? When you're swollen and you can't do anything, you can't
Yeah.
chew, it's so
Yeah,
easy
it's
to
scary.
get into that downward spiral,
sure.
right? But it does get better, right? And that's like I was telling Susie, right? Any patient that you guys want to send to me for whatever, right? For the depression side, the anxiety side,
Yeah.
you know, the emotional side of this stuff, like, please, like, do so.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I think that's part of my advocacy in life, too.
Yeah.
is to-
I really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Y'all heard it. If you want to reach
Absolutely.
out, comment Jolly.
Absolutely.
But I know he's going to be checking the comment section.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's because it's life-changing. You guys
Yeah.
are doing life-changing stuff, right? And
Yeah, I appreciate that. We need more advocates out there. I mean, this is really the goal here, is to send the message, get more surgeons like me, orthodontists like Croc, and functional medicine doctors,
Absolutely.
myofunctional therapists, and then everybody, psychiatrists. We really want to get the message out that things can be done. It doesn't have to be surgery.
Right.
It can start real early.
right.
And that's the goal.
Right.
Really. I had 2 of my 3 children in expanders early on. And, these are significant things that can happen. You got to push, you got to be your advocate, because a lot of wherever you are, a lot of your communities are not going to even have a provider that speaks this language, and they're going to look at you and tell you you're crazy.
Right.
But this is out there.
It
and
is.
We're putting this out there so people can share and be an advocate and travel. Travel and find a team. And eventually what'll happen is your local guys will take notice.
Right. No, much gratitude to you, Dr. Alfi, the whole
Yeah.
team. And, I mean, you guys are saving lives, man. It's as
Yeah.
simple as that.
Thank
you guys
you.
are changing, generational precursors, right?
Yeah.
Small
Yeah,
mouths.
definitely.
Why the small mouths, right? Nobody
Yeah.
knows.
Let's get. I want to talk a little bit before we end about Josh and your sleep. Have you noticed restfulness just
Oh,
from
yeah.
the MARPE?
Yeah.
You look amazing. I mean,
Thank you.
anyone can look at this. If you're on Spotify, go to YouTube and and look at these guys here.
Yeah, well, I mean, before I used to sleep, I went to bed at 8, and I would wake up at 6:15, and I'd still have that same feeling. But after I got expanded, I could breathe through my nose. I used to be a mouth breather, but I couldn't breathe through my nose. I'd be like constantly breathing through my mouth.
Is this
till I
why
was
you had the
congested.
tissues? Is that the reference to the
Yeah.
tissues?
I would like blow my nose really hard because I think I have things in there and I couldn't.
Trying to clear
breathe.
it all the time.
I think a deviated septum that got fixed with the expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it opened.
Just room.
I could start breathing through my nose.
Are the tissues not on the couch anymore?
No, I don't.
Isn't that something?
I mean, it's not a cliche. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Literally, he'd have this corner and on the sectional, right?
Everywhere.
Just tissues everywhere, right?
Yeah.
All day, every day, right? And now you look at him,
I
Yeah.
can breathe through my nose.
like
How's
he got
your
this thing removed.
You notice
15 minutes
anything on
ago.
the soccer field?
Yeah, I can. I'm going in a lot more because I can breathe easier and I can run faster. It really like physically changed me
Yeah.
all over my
What about
body.
your conditioning?
Yeah, I mean, it's just I have more energy.
Mhm.
I used to be like sleepy in the mornings, in the evenings, just like
Yeah.
not wanting to talk to anyone, like
Yeah.
lazy. But then I'm like a lot more energetic.
That's great.
Yeah.
Such an important part. Let's make that point that, what a critical time in development,
Right.
such formative years to go through. You're in high school now, right? Or middle school?
I'm in the last month of my 8th grade.
Okay.
I had to go to high school.
And then going to high school. Like, how important is that to go in there breathing, focusing, sleeping, growing 7 inches, hitting that growth spurt? Growth, for those of you who don't know, growth hormone is secreted during good sleep. So you want your children to be taller than you, get them to bed early, make sure they're breathing,
Yes.
get them to sleep, because that's really where it happens.
Really is.
It's really where it
Really
happens.
is.
The best sleepers are the ones that grow the tallest, and that's where it is. So anyone
Really?
that's anyone that's interested in the health and well-being of their children, you have to look into Airway.
Absolutely.
You have to look into it. Be an advocate for yourself and your children. Let's try to get away from depending on pills and drugs, because that's never going to go away. That's a never-ending sinkhole. Once you start on depending on pills, that's going to be a lifetime.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
literally.
Look at my son. He had this MARPE removed just 15 minutes ago. It wasn't even that long.
Yeah,
right?
amazing.
What his body has done, his cognition, right? His temperament, his articulation, the way he's described by his teachers, right? I mean, we feel so blessed to be able to sit here and talk about this, right? We feel that we literally just augmented his life into the heavens, right?
I love it.
With what we did.
And
right?
I love how proud you are.
Oh yeah, man. I mean,
I love that.
This is my kid, right?
Right.
And it's like, and I remember him. It's like he was a precursor of me when I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
My parents didn't know, right? They were just trying to make it, right? Like I just wanted to get braces to look good back then. I had no idea about this whole concept of how important your mouth is. Your mouth is literally the orbit of your body,
Yeah.
right? But now you've got these doctors that understand this stuff, right? That love it, that breathe it every single day, and they're trying to help perpetuate that life, and just do your homework, right? And make the decisions that's ultimately going to be right for you and your family. Tell me. I don't
That's
know how else
great.
to describe it.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Thank you guys so much for
Thank you,
coming.
Alfi.
Thank you.
Patients, prospective patients, physicians, anyone out there that's listening, parents, you got any questions, comment below. All of us are going to be looking out for questions, and we're here to help deliver that message. Hopefully get a lot more providers and communities that have Airway teams looking into this. That's the goal of this. We're going to sign off like we always do. I'm going to start with Josh. Who's the greatest basketball player of all time?
Kobe Bryant.
Yes.
He is.
Breathing well. I like it. Jolly, who you got?
Kobe Bryant.
Hakeem. We're in Houston. Hakeem.
H-Town,
Hakeem
man.
the
That
dream.
city, man.
Yeah, I can't believe it's taking this long for someone to mention Hakeem.
The Mamba's a beast, though, man.
Yeah.
He's a beast.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, that's great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe and come back for the next episode.